Hi guys, welcome back to All the Mods 8 Let's Play series. This is going to be episode 4. I am going to be out of town for a bit, so you'll be seeing a lot more of Martian and a lot less of Sorb over the next episode, possibly 2. But we do have a lot of good stuff in stock for you, so let's get to talking about that.
Sorry guys, you're gonna be stuck with me. Let's get into it. So we're gonna kick things off with upgrading our mechanism machines into factories. The upside of factories is you can process more than one thing at a time, and it makes it just go a little bit faster, so you don't have to make like 9 machines to do the same thing. These basic tier installers are the first level of factory. It's just made with the control circuit, some wood, iron, and redstone. Once you have them, you just hold shift and right click on the machine. You can see that now it has the ability to process 3. And if you checkbox this auto sort, when you put items in, it'll spread them out so that it'll use all 3 to get them done at the same time. Alright, so we have a bit of a power problem. We made ourselves some jetpacks, which, is charged now, but it took a long time for that to get charged up. And we've upgraded our machines to the maximum tier using those tier install upgrades, just moving up through the tiers. But basically, this power, you see how slowly it's going back up. We started Powa in order to counterbalance that, but Powa has a couple of unique things. This is just the basic tiers, which you can just craft with, materials. There's nothing really special. But this orb here is how you get into the higher tiers, and it is a little bit special. And I wanted to show you guys a little early game trick that you can do for kind of auto crafting to make your life a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is build out a little tiny platform here. And if you know basic redstone, this might make a little bit more sense to you, but we're going to use a comparator here and put that there, and that's going to check the inventory of this energizing orb to see if there's anything in it. We're going to use a repeater to boost that signal to a power strength of 15. And then we're going to wrap that redstone around and then strongly power this hopper so that that will lock it. So this way, if there's an item in here, it won't just keep feeding him in, because that's a problem you might run into with the energizing orb, is that you can just keep putting items in there. The first item that we need to make is the energized steel. And if we look at energized steel and the energizing orb, you see you just put these two in there. And I'll do a couple just to kind of make an example. This doesn't work as well for this one. This is the only one that requires 2, at least for the early portions. So what you can do is you can put those in there. You can see it only put in 1. The other one's still here because that, saw that there was something in there and that locked the hopper. But for this is the only one that you'll have to do this way. But it saves a little bit of time. Where it really comes in handy is in the next tier, the blazing tier. So if I grab a stack of blaze rods, I can put this in here and just set it and forget it, because this is just one at a time. And you'll see that it's moving really, really slowly. But we have to do that with blaze rods, and then diamonds, and then emeralds, in order to upgrade these so that they actually start making power that's worth anything. So I'm going to grind through that process. I just wanted to show this one little bit here because it does, it automates this part. It's just going to end up down here so that we can use that to upgrade all of these basic thermo generators. The cool thing about these thermo generators is that they don't require any kind of fuel or maintenance as long as you've got water going into them. And these guys are currently sitting on top of lava. You can see that's generating 60 Fe per tick, which isn't terrible, but we can do better. Especially once these are sitting on a block of blazing crystals, that extra heat makes these things generate a lot more. So I'll come back once we've upgraded these a bit, and you can see how much more these will actually make. So I just removed all the lava from underneath of here, and I'm going to show you the difference. So this is a block of blazing crystal instead of the lava. This is just a basic one that I haven't finished upgrading yet. Remember before it was doing 60 RF per tick? It's 168 RF per tick, which is a 280% increase. So at the second tier, with the hardened upgrade, which I've got a few of them upgraded to so far, that's 280. It's a huge difference. So as these get bigger and bigger, you'll see that it's going to get pretty decent for power. So I wanted to do a little bit of evil craft here in order for us to get a blood chest so that we can repair our items. I already did this a little bit, but I wanted to show the process because you might not know how to get started in this. You have to make a little opening where you can place the blood. I need to go grab a bucket. Okay. And you've probably noticed if you're playing in this pack as well that you find this condensed blood in basically every loot chest out there. You can put that condensed blood into a tank just by right clicking it, and then if we look in there we can see that we've got at least 5 buckets, which is what we need. So we take a bucket, place one there, 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 and there. Did I place that wrong? Hopefully not. It's still flowing, which is concerning me. Okay. Okay, I must have placed one of them wrong. That's unfortunate. Which one is wrong? That one. It's the middle one. Alright, so if your blood congeals like that, you can just punch it. And you get these hardened shards, which we're going to need for the next part of the craft anyway. So let's see here. I need... That is 4 buckets. 1, 2, 5 buckets. So 1, 2, 5. There we go. Throw that in the middle, and that'll turn that into dark power gem. I already made the blood infuser. Once you make that, it's a lot cheaper to make because I can just throw this down and I should be able to put that blood directly in there, and I can. I grab another dark gem. I don't know why Sorb has these monsters collected here. I guess we'll find out soon. Let's see here. I take a dark gem now. I can just run it through like this. And it's a lot better because instead of having to use 5 buckets, I believe it used 250 milliliters, which is a fourth of a bucket. Yeah. So now we can get these a lot easier. And I want to make a blood chest. Need any kind of wood surrounded with that. Alright. So, need one of these. Blink. And there's our blood chest. The reason that I wanted this is so that we can repair items easier. I'm just going to dunk all of that blood in there, so it's got plenty. There's a way for us to automate this blood, which we'll do later, but for right now I can at least show what it does. So these boots have just a tiny bit of durability damage. If I hit F3 and H, yeah, now we can see the durability. So it's only missing one. Turn that off. If I put those in, yeah, that got repaired really quick because it only needed to repair one. But like, these are hurt a bit more, so that'll take it a second. But you can see that it's kind of like mending, except you don't have to have mending, and you can repair things that can't necessarily be enchanted with mending. So this way we'll be able to keep our fortune picks, which we're going to want to use soon once we find our Aldemadium. But that's how you get started in Evilcraft, and I'll show a way to automate this a little bit later once we get to the point where we need to use a whole lot more blood. So just setting up mystical agriculture here in order to get a couple of seeds that'll be convenient. In addition, we're gonna grow some crops so that we can get Ars Nouveau going eventually. But because this craft isn't just like a regular craft, I wanted to kind of touch base on how it works. What I'm going to do first is put down this redstone block. Reason being, this infusion altar has to have a redstone signal in order for it to do the craft, and since I just want it to just automatically do the crafts every time, I'm just going to put redstone blocks so it'll always be powered. And it shows a little layout for how you place these items. It is 8 of the infusion pedestals and 1 of the infusion altars. The seed will always go in the middle, and then you'll have 4 essences and 4 of some item, which you can look for. Like this is a wood seed that I was looking at making so that we can get any kind of wood that we need. And you can see this is how it would be arranged using these items. So they're not you don't have to put them in the order that it shows in JEI, because then it'll show that it's like catty corner. But as you can see here, I've just got them all in a row. So you can put them in any order that you want. It'll make this little particle effect. If you do have your particle effects turned off, you won't see it doing this, but it should still change to be the wood seed once it is done. So I wanted to get us an infinite lava source here at the base. One of the steps to do that easily is with create, but we haven't really started create, so it's going to go over a little bit. Most of this stuff is craftable, like the water wheels, just recipes to make these things. This part is a little different. You have to strip a log. It doesn't matter what kind of log. I did oak logs because that's what we're growing in the botany pot. But once you've got them stripped by right-clicking them with an X, you just go down the line and right-click the andesite onto these, and they will turn into these casings. And I needed the casings in order to make the press. So if I look for a mechanical press, this is the recipe here, and I also need a depot. Well, I don't need it. You can do it on the ground, but I like it like this so that it doesn't despawn. Okay, so I've got everything that I need to make this. I'm just gonna put this like somebody suspiciously put a trap chest here with some TNT under it. I don't know if Sorb thought it'd be funny if I tried to open this chest, but yeah, I didn't start playing Minecraft yesterday, so that's probably not going to work on me. Um, but I'm definitely going to open that chest. Anyway, let's see. I wanted to put this kind of somewhere out on the side of the base. I think that right here will be fine. Just giving myself a little bit of room. So the maximum output that you can get from these things is with 3 water wheels, and you can see that the spokes would catch and turn this direction, so counterclockwise. Another trick is that if you put soul sand as where you would place your water sources, the bubbles from the soul sand pushes these water wheels to move faster. So we'll get even better SUs. So since we've already got some soul sand, I'm going to do it like that. And then I just need to encapsulate this. So that's going to look something like... something like that. And then I just need to place water. I didn't it didn't show us crafting this, but this is from Reliquary. It's an infinite water source. Very convenient to have because I can just go right down the line. And these now are all watered. You can see the bubbles are rising because those are water sources, and those are spinning at maximum efficiency, and I failed to seal that off right there. Okay, and I'm gonna need a little bit more room. All right. Pull some energy. There's that. There's that. So the reason that I wanted to do that was to press some copper because I need to make a pulley in order to suck the lava from the nether. With create, if you suck lava or any fluid that's more than 10,000 blocks, it's treated as an infinite source. So that means that it'll just keep getting lava. We'll never run out of it. And there you go. So that's going to sit there and bonk all of those and give us a bunch of sheets. And then I'll be able to make a next bit. So once I've got this ready, I will be in the nether. And we will set up the infinite lava source. And I'll show you how to do that part. Alright, so apparently I failed to record this. So I'm just going to do it again real quick. This is how you make the infinite lava source. This is what it looks like. But I'm just going to redo it so that everyone can see how that worked. Alright, so what I did is I hit F3 and G at the same time, and that shows me my chunk borders. And this is the chunk that I've already loaded. Here it's force loaded so that it'll continue to get more lava even when we're not here. So that's about center. And we'll put this here. All that. And got mechanical pipe here going into the tank, and then we will tell this to extract. And then we just need to lower the hose pulley, so I'm going to put that there. Right click, let it go all the way down to the bottom. And we had just gotten the achievement for tapping the mantle. Pump enough from a body of lava large enough to be considered infinite. So this is considered infinite. So now back at the base, we have another dimensional tank. So if I slash home, right over here, there it is. And if I take a bucket of lava out of here, as a matter of fact, I needed to do that anyway. 2 buckets. So I wanted to make the Mekanism crusher. And you can see that just automatically refills. So now we have infinite lava at the base. Alright, so now that we've beefed up our power grid over here to a pretty decent power generation, we're going to go ahead and upgrade out of integrated dynamics for our storage system. This isn't a necessity, it's just we can now, and like you can set up auto crafting with integrated dynamics. Like if you just didn't have refined storage in your pack, you'd be alright. But we do have refined storage, and we have AE2. So I started off with refined storage, but if you guys want to see how to do AE2, let me know, and we can work out something. And maybe we'll set it up so that Sorb uses one and I'll use the other, something just to kind of showcase both of them if you want to know how to do it. I will say that comparatively refined storage is easier in the sense that you don't have to worry about channels, and the crafters can hold more than the default. I think it's either 9 or 10 recipes, something like that in AE2, and there is no way around it. You have to do the number available. You can have it attached to multiple sides for your chest or machine or whatever it is that you're doing it with. But the basics of refined storage really are just these 3 blocks right here. I made a couple more because I want to do a few additional things that aren't necessarily um, required, but it's going to work with, what we're doing. So we're going to put our power right there. We'll set that to our network. And this is the wireless power node that Sorb was telling you guys about. And then we're going to put the controller right on top of it. The controller is basically the power for refined storage. It does not play nice with power cables. You have to use refined storage cables in order to power the other parts of your machines with refined storage. But it can also directly touch other blocks that are connected to the network. So for example, if I put this disk drive here because it's touching this, and then I put the crafting grid on top of it, you see it lit up, and this is already active, and I made a little 64K drive. These go up to much higher with the extra storage components that are on this pack, but 64K is default, and I am hoping that that's going to be enough. I guess we're going to find out pretty soon here. I am going to set this to JEI two-way. I like it like that because like whatever the last thing was that I searched in JEI, it's automatically going to show up here. And if I type it up here, you can see that it's popping up in JEI over here. So there is a couple of things, and I may have prematurely disconnected this as I really do want those cables back. Okay, well, this is going to be fun. So we're going to dump everything. And then I'm just going to put this stuff away for a second. And we're just going to start dumping. This is the moment of truth where we find out if 64,000 is indeed enough, because those chests are housing a fair bit of items. And because I already broke the integrated dynamics system, I'm having a heck of a time finding those cables. Actually, I should at least do this. Attach that to there, and of course, same deal, this priority needs to be higher so that it's always going to prioritize going into that first. And if I look at it right now, yeah, we can see all those blaze rods and stuff, so it's attached there. We still need to put the importer here, and a matter of fact, I might not even need to find those cables. Yeah, that's going to reach. So this is an elite importer, which is from cable tiers. It's an addition to refined storage. See, yeah, this had gotten behind, so it's trying to catch up. And it's going to need some upgrades to be able to keep up with how fast those mob farm things are coming in. Oh, oh, okay. Well, gotta finish moving this stuff over. Anyway, the speed of these importers gets better as you go to higher tiers. So if I type importer, this is the next tier, Ultra, which is pretty good. But the creative importer is quite good. It basically instant imports any amount of items. So this is the goal, but in order to do that, we have to get nether stars on farm, which is on the to-do list. But this is going to allow us to do some auto crafting on a higher level. And we can automate things like this orb a lot easier. Anyway, this is the basics of refined storage, and we'll be teaching you some more stuff with it. I just wanted to give a quick overview of at least the few things that you need to get it started, which is the controller, disk drive, crafting grid. I recommend making a storage disk, but you could just make a bunch of external connectors and attach it to a bunch of chests if you really wanted to. I think that it's just better in the long run to use a storage disk. But this is also an option. I could have just made a ton of external storage connectors and attached them to all the chests, just like what Integrated Dynamics was doing. Alright, so I've got a couple of materials together for us to do mechanism ore doubling. And this would be the raw ores, like raw gold, raw osmium, instead of the 1 1/3 that you get with just running it through the enrichment chamber. I added a couple of things to our refined storage system, including this advanced wireless transmitter. You see that gives you 1,000 block range. I did have to dunk a netherite ingot to get that, but until we can get nether stars up and running to get us our upgrade to give us infinite wireless range, this is a really good option because it covers more than this base. I'd be able to go really far away and still be able to access the system. So now I can just hit my hotkey to pull this up, and I'm just going to quickly go over how you set up ore doubling in Mekanism. So I'm going to start in the middle because I may want to actually utilize that hydrogen for something else. Um, you can set up a really strong power generation using hydrogen into a pressurized reaction chamber to make ethylene and run that through a gas burning generator. It's kind of an OP energy setup. By the way, the only reason that I'm able to do this is because we have a decent amount of power gen now, and you'll notice that all that power gen that I had over there isn't there anymore. I moved it down here with the plug here, just because it's kind of bulky, and it gives us more room to actually have machines on our power line upstairs. But the reason that you need that power generation is because of this monstrosity right here, the electrolytic separator. When this thing is fully upgraded, even with the energy upgrades to counterbalance it, but when you have all the speed upgrades in it, it will dunk your power. So you have to be able to keep up with it. That's probably why they made it where you can have that ethylene gas being burned, because it generates an enormous amount of power, even more than what I've got set up downstairs. So that might be something that we choose to do, but you do have to feed it a fuel, biofuel specifically, in order to pull that off. So we'll revisit that if we decide that we need that kind of power regeneration. A lot of times in packs you'll see them actually nerf that. It's not uncommon to see that because it's pretty powerful when you compare it to other mods that don't use nearly that much power generation. But to be fair, even in late game Mekanism especially, the amount of power that it will suck from you is insane. So that's why they have such a high cap. It just doesn't balance well with other mods because they don't require you to use nearly as much RF as Mekanism does. Anyway, so we've got a mechanical pipe here, and this is because the electrolytic separator needs to separate water into its base components, which is hydrogen and oxygen. And for this specifically, what we're looking for is the oxygen to run through our purifying factory, which I've already upgraded. I don't have the energy and gas upgrades in it yet, but I have them ready to go. So now that this is pulling water from the sink, if I put down my electrolytic separator here, you see it's already working because water's going in and it's separating that. Now, one thing to mention with Mekanism, unlike any other mod that I've seen, I don't know of any other mods that have something called a gas. That is just Mekanism. Usually mods will either call it a fluid or an item. But we do have gases, and when you have gases, you have to move them differently. So we can see on the right-hand side, oxygen is here, left-hand side is hydrogen. So by default, it is going to go out like that. So it's saying output number 2 is a cyan color, output number 1 is blue. And if you look at the borders, you can see this is a cyan color and this is a blue color. So by default, you could change this if you wanted to. Just make sure that you're on the right tab. You'll notice I selected the gas tab. That's really easy to get confused in Mekanism because you might be like on the fluids tab or the items tab and you're like, I set it to the right side, but it's not working. Make sure that you've selected what it is that you're moving. In this case, gas is what we're concerned with because we want the oxygen. It's on the right side right now and I'm okay with that. So I'm actually going to create a buffer by putting down a pressurized tube. Pressurized tubes are what move gases. So you'll see that that's starting to fill up with like a blue hue. That's the oxygen. And over here, that's starting to fill up with the hydrogen. Our little tooltip thing at the top doesn't actually show the gases, but there is a tool and Mekanism that you can create and right-click these to see exactly how much is in there. But that's not necessary for what we're doing, so I'm not going to be doing that right now. But that's starting to create, and the reason these are empty is because they're actually filling up into this buffer, which is good because we would like to have a buffer for when we're processing a lot of ores at the same time. So the first step in this is the purifying factory itself. And you'll see this bar right here fills up with oxygen, which it's getting because it's moving through this pressurized tube. And it needs energy upgrades and it needs a speed upgrade, but the other thing that it needs is a gas upgrade. Don't forget this gas upgrade. It's pretty much the only thing other than like a chemical injector that will actually use this upgrade. But if you don't do it, it's going to go through your oxygen at an alarming rate. And you're going to be like, why am I running out of oxygen? I can't keep up with these ores that are being processed. It's probably that you forgot to give it the gas upgrade. So now that that's set up, you can see by default it's going to output to the right hand side, which is great for us because we're just going to go down the line here. I am going to set up auto eject on. And next in the process is crushing. And the way that I know this, by the way, if I look at raw ore, um, we could use this as an example. If I right click it, yeah, you could use a hammer, but who wants to make hammers all the time, right? When we can just make it automated. So if we look at the purification chamber, you see that this will make clumps. It makes 2 of them from 1. If you right click that, it goes to the crusher next, and that's going to make dirty of whatever the ore is. Right click that, it goes through an enrichment chamber, and that makes the dust, and then of course we all know you smelt dust, you get an ingot. So it's going to double whatever we put inside of here. So we've got the purification factory. This is the crushing factory that I made earlier on, so it's already got its upgrades in there. It's ready to go. Next is going to be the enriching factory, which I did steal from over there. And again, it's going to do the same thing. I am going to set up auto eject on. Again, it's ejecting to the right hand side. And auto eject on. And inputs are all on the left hand side, so that's fine. So the last step is going to be the furnace itself, which is going to go right here. And I do want to give it a factory upgrade and a speed upgrade. That's just going to make it process faster. Auto split I'm going to turn on so that it will utilize spreading out the outputs to all of them so it can smelt faster. It's got fuel input on the left hand side. I want that to just be a normal input, and I'm just going to shift click in the middle to remove all of these so that I don't have weird settings. So I want the left to be an input, and I want to input or output my stuff to the top. And in this case, I'm going to auto output on because I want it to automatically eject its outputs to the top side, which is going to be our dimensional chest, which is still getting stuff from the mob farm. But again, because it's being imported in our refined storage system over there, that's just going to go right into our system. So we'll be able to process ores quickly and efficiently. I do need to give this guy his upgrades. So here's where it gets crazy. If we look at this right now, we're only using 160 RF per tick. That's like nothing for us, right? Because we're generating 2,000 per little thermo generator down there. So that's nothing. But if I put those in, and you look at it now, it's using 40,000. 40,000, that is outrageous. 40,000, that's actually more than what we're generating, but we do have a buffer downstairs, so we're kind of okay for right now. But that's why I said if you don't have the power set up to support this, especially if you start speeding this guy up in order to be able to run these at maximum efficiency, you'll just see your power disappear instantly. And then this guy will just struggle bus to try to make the oxygen that you're trying to make. The last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to tell this guy, instead of to idle, I want him to dump excess. And what that's going to mean is when this hydrogen fills up, it's just going to release that gas into the atmosphere so that it's not stopping the electrolytic separator from creating more oxygen. Because if this buffer fills up, it's going to say, oh, my tank's full, I can't make any more, and it'll just stop producing oxygen. We don't want that because this guy needs to continue to have oxygen available in order for it to double our ores. So that's how that works. And just to give an example, if I say raw here, and I'll just grab some gold. And specifically, I'm doing this in block form because if you look at block forms, I just hit you and it's lagging. Give it a second. There we go. If we process this, that's if you do it in a chemical injection here. If you do it in a purification chamber, it makes 18. The benefit of that is that it uses 400 oxygen, but if you look at this, and we go to purification chamber, it uses 200 for one. But one block is 9, right? So 200 times 9, 1800 versus 400. We're using a lot less oxygen. In addition to that, we're able to process it faster because it's processing 18 at a time instead of 2 at a time. So overall, it's just more efficient to do it this way. But just to give it as an example, if I put this in, I need to turn my auto sorting on. That's on, that's on. Okay, so that's just getting smelted up. It's going into the dimensional storage. And if I come over here, by the way, we updated all the mods, and you'll notice that some of our drawers are not rendering anymore. I put in a report on that on their forum so that maybe they can look into that. But if I look at gold, we should see, yeah, I mean, you just saw that block went up. This is going up, and it's because it's going into here. So that's it working. It's fully automated, well, except for exporting the ores to it. We'll probably do that with refined storage. But for right now, I just wanted us to have an easy way to double our ores to be more efficient, because until we get all the modium, we're going to be locked from auto mining. The options in this pack for auto mining are almost completely blocked. The only one that I know of that you can actually get around that with is using Create, because you can make a gantry with a bunch of drills on it, and then just put chests on top of it, pull a lever, send it down, and as it's going down, it'll mine things. It's not with like Fortune or anything, so you're just going to get your base drops, and you do have to set it up over and over and over as you move around with the machine, so it's not the best, but it does work. So if you were really desperate and you just don't want to go mining, luckily Sorb gets bored a lot. He's not online right now because he's actually doing some family stuff right now, but I wanted to get this set up and going and show y'all how it works. But when he gets bored, because we don't want to progress off camera, he'll go mining for us. So luckily I haven't had to do it. I've had my own personal dimensional miner for me. The other way that we could do it is using occultism. There is a mining thing. The problem that I have with that is that those lamps take damage, and you have to babysit them. So you can give them a whole lot of unbreaking and stuff, but eventually they will break, and if you don't watch them and constantly repair them, like using our blood chest that we made earlier, it'll just break, and then you have to make another one, and that's quite annoying. So I haven't gone that route, but it is another way that you could get auto ores without actually going and getting them. But since we are investing time into getting all of our resources, we may as well get a little bit better efficiency out of the yields for them. Alright, sorry for the long-winded explanation on all that stuff. It's important stuff, and I think it'll be useful to a lot of people that are new to it, so, but I have gone over time, um, and, yeah, so we're gonna end the episode here. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and, we'll see you next time. Bye. Say bye, Sorb. Be shy.